Hello and welcome to the GMS Magazine channel. I am Paco Garcia, your host, and today I bring the full review of a game that I booked a few months ago called Eventide, which is a post-apocalyptic sort of game in a Mad Maxian world that has, well, everybody's messed up basically. Now, after having booked it and thought that it was worth getting it, but admittedly, it was written by a friend of mine, so I'm going to be a little bit biased and a little bit kind to this review, so I just want you to know that. But has this game been actually worth reading? Well, welcome to the GMS Magazine RPG review videos. I say that Gareth is a friend. He is very, very, very dear to me, and thus this review may not be as unbiased as some other reviews that I do. But before I go on to that, let me tell you as well that just to add a little bit of credibility to both the review and Gareth, he's the guy behind Static Dawn, Something Wicked, Children of the Fall, Karma, and Dusk. Now, I leave Dusk till the very end because this is the game that started Eventide. Now, I got this game at the very, very beginning and I hated it. I hated it so badly that I didn't even review it. This was at the very beginning of my friendship with Gareth, and I said to him, look, like that. It just wasn't there at all. And that hurt him really bad, and I know it did. But it was the truth, and the thing that I had to tell him, and therefore we ended up with Eventide. Now, Eventide has echoes of some of his other games, so this is not a completely new thing. And if you've ever bought any of Gareth's games, and you should, like Children of the Fall and Something Wicked, they are absolutely stupendous, then you will see this. But what is Eventide all about? Let me tell you first of all about the world. Eventide takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, very, very Mad Max. Let me find the map. So all of the game takes place in here. This is an island that is surrounded by an acidic sea with barely any life at all, which you cannot really dive in because you would probably die, and that slowly corrodes anything that goes inside. So we don't know what else is anywhere else. We just know that the new world is all that the players and the characters are ever gonna know. It has a few hundred kilometers from side to side, so it is just about big enough to make for a credible world. Within this place, we are going to find a number of locations. Now, locations go from settlements with just a couple of dozen people to a couple of larger cities with a few tens of thousands. Water is very, very, very scarce, with the main source of water being this massive storm that's raging around the world constantly. And there might be some other ways of getting water, but they are really difficult to find, and that is going to be one of the main elements of this game. That water scarcity makes life super duper hard. There are some mountains, there's a bit of everything in the world, which I do like. And the only thing that I found a little bit needs a tad is how do people survive? Even if it is hard, there isn't enough attention being paid to plantations or fisheries, or if there are any rivers, or what can people do to actually survive in here. So you're gonna have to do a little bit of work on that ground. Is it hard? No, because you can just find cacti, or you can find succulent plants that would allow you, and animals, like especially insects, that you could feed on. So it is something that you can do, but you're going to have to invent a little bit and elaborate a little bit to make sure that your colonies or your settlements are sustainable. Now, one thing that I really enjoyed about this game, actually two things. One is the bestiary. Even though there is the art direction for the whole thing was a little bit iffy because there's too much variation and some of the illustrations have not been optimized to be printed in black and white. So like for instance here, the wasteland warrior that we have on the screen now, it is very dark and is losing an awful lot of detail. That is a shame. However, once you start to read the descriptions, oh boy, they come to life, and that is absolutely beautiful because we have a number of world congruent creatures and some that are less so, but interesting nevertheless, that you could use at pretty much any time and pretty much anywhere the world, which is very good. Now, I started describing the book as post-apocalyptic, and that is not necessarily correct. It is, but people within Eventide don't know that. They just don't know. They know that there's something before, but they don't know what, because it happened so long ago that it has completely been forgotten. So it has that sort of vibe of, yeah, lost civilization, but we wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. So what would be the point of thinking about recovering it or trying to mimic it, because we cannot remember it? So what happened in the world? We don't know. We just have to make do with what we have. Now, the thing that I really enjoyed, as well as the bestiary, was there are a number of tribes in the apocalypse. The tribes are absolutely brilliant. There is a little bit of everything, with one theme in common, and is that everyone is in for themselves. There's just a couple of people here and there that would be kind enough to help a wanderer, but overall we're in for ourselves, and if you try to mess with us, then we're just going to destroy you, which makes sense because this is way too fragile a world to actually take some risks. So yeah, and there are some truly bizarre ones. So we have from the augmenters, who are people who literally try to augment themselves with whatever technology they can find. The carners, which are cannibals, and you better not cross paths with them. The children of the fall. Yep, from this book, and they're children living in the middle of a crater. That's creepy. The darkened, which are hedonistic, sadomasochistic tribe of nomads who go all over the place. They are really unsettling. Devil Boys, just a motorbiker band, they're pretty normal. The Drowners, I found these very intriguing. These are some creatures that follow the storm, which is, by the way, incredibly violent, so you don't want to be there. It's just as dangerous as it is necessary. But these Drowners will follow them and live in the swamps and rivers and lakes that it forms as it goes along, and they are also very cannibalistic and not nice at all. This as a concept, yeah, I dig it an awful lot. The Flock of God is just weird, very weird, as the gearheads. The ghosts, these are actually, despite the fact that they look really menacing, but these are people who just worship the sun and they live under the sun. It's a pretty miserable life, but hey, they managed to survive. They must be doing something right. Then we have the Masons, the Motherhood. This is another weird one, but very perverse in some ways, because they are completely determined to keep the world alive. They want to perpetuate the human race, so they are constantly getting pregnant so they can continue having babies that will repopulate humanity, even though there are only 30-ish of them as far as we know. But they deserve a mention. The fact that they sometimes kidnap men to use them as breeders, the whole concept I love. I really really love. So as you see, there are some interesting, very, very interesting tribes in here, including the Wormites. Let me talk about the Wormites for a bit. One of the features in the map is this is not just a creature, but it is a landmark. It's something called Mother, which is a living province-sized creature made of flesh. It doesn't move anywhere, but it is alive and it consumes any kind of organic matter that comes anywhere near close to them. Somehow it managed to birth the Wormites, which are really twisted and deformed mutated humanoids that do their bidding, and they live within Mother. You know, they just go into the flops, and they are the ones who hunt for Mother's food. Again, as the concept, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's very thing-like, and that was tremendous indeed. So that is the lore. Now, what is character creation like? Character creation is actually pretty simple. It doesn't have an awful lot to it. You're going to have a few stats and skills, like you're going to have body, mind, combat, survival, and persona. Body is, as you can expect, your strength, your capability to survive hardships. Mind is your intelligence. Combat is your ability to fight with other people. Survival is your ability to make the most out of your environment to make sure that you don't die. And persona is your charisma. Simple as that. But the one thing that I really like about this is the health clock. Let me find it so I can tell you exactly how it works. The health clock. How is this going to work? Anytime that you get hit by anything or wounded, you are going to take clockwise one of these little segments. Anything up to 6 o'clock, you will be recovering very quickly. They are just minor wounds, scratches, a slap, concussion, something that you can recover, every hour you can get one of these back. If, however, you get between 6 and 9, that's going to take longer to recover. Then wounds start to get serious, very serious. And when you go past 9, then they take even longer to recover, so they can accumulate. So the more you can take some risks at the beginning, but then taking risks, that ain't cool. That could be very, very dangerous. I like how it builds tension. I like how this clock really make you think twice about taking some unnecessary risks, but at the same time allows you to take some risks right away, because you know that within half an hour you're just going to recover from whatever it is that's happened, and that is very, very good. You can get states like poison, incapacitated, unconscious, dazed, and blinded, which also give a little bit of an extra edge to the whole character and combat and conflict management, which is great. Weapon inventory, consumables, all that is left down to you. Yes, there are guidelines as to what you can or cannot use, what's harder to find, what's easy to find, and how you can make do with whatever you find in the beaches or by looting somebody else. It's entirely up to you. So from that point of view, this is quite a simple thing. Every stat and skill is going to have some skills. So in body, for instance, you get grappling, maneuvering, and climbing. For mind, you get engineering, perception, and tech use. combat, you get melee attack, ranged attack, and stealth. In survival, crafting, driving, and healing. And in persona, deception, intimidation, and persuasion. All of these can be increased with the use of experience points. So your characters are not static. This kind of character is very good for a mid-length campaign. If you want to do something that will take you from absolutely zero to being the outmost leader of the largest city in Dusk, then this may get a little bit short. You may need to invent a few more skills here and there, but the base of the character creation is very simple, and the characters that you can create with this are flexible enough that you can do with them whatever you want, but concise enough that you're never going to have too many options and get some sort of, freezing, thinking about what to do or what to use. Good balance on character creation, which leads me to the next chapter, which is the rules. The rules are actually pretty simple considering the kind of game it is. You are going to build a dice pool. How? Well, let me show you. You're going to take from your relevant ability, stat, and skill, and you're going to take as many d6s as you have here. So for example, if you're going to grapple somebody, you will use the 2 points that we can see here in body plus your grapple, so that would be 3 dice. You're going to roll the dice. If you have any skill, then that is considered a trained roll. If you do not, then it's considered an untrained. If you are trained, then 5 and 6s are successes. If you are not trained, then you need 6s, which makes tasks a lot harder. Now you're going to need a number of successes in order to accomplish your task, and that is something that the GM is going to establish depending on how difficult things are going to be. So if we go on to page 45 in the book, we get the test difficulty, and we get 1 or 2 successes is something standard, that 3 to 4 start to get tricky, 5 to 6 is extreme, 7 to 9 is legendary, and more than 10 is godlike. So yeah, can be pretty hard. Does it mean that it cannot be achieved? Well, not necessarily, because this game takes exploding d6s. That means that if you roll a 6, you roll it again and you add that success, assuming that you got another success. So if you roll 5 dice and 2 of them are 5s and 1 is a 6, that's 3 successes. You roll the die, the 6 again, and you get a 5, that would be 4 successes. If you had rolled a 6 again, you will roll it again and again and again. So that could make for some very, very interesting outcomes. The game also comes with critical success and catastrophic failure, as well as opposed rolls rules, which is pretty good. I personally absolutely love critical successes, and I love catastrophic failures, because that is the critical success is a perfect opportunity to give the player a boost, whether it is in morale or simply in the creativity that they use to describe the outcome of the task. whereas the catastrophic failure is absolutely perfect to introduce into the game something trickier, another obstacle that they can overcome later on, or not. We'll see. So these I like. They're quite detailed, and we have a very nice example test on how the rules work. So from that point of view, it is pretty simple. The combat rounds are also described in great detail, which is very nice and necessary, because combat in this game, you will, trust me on that one. So everything has it here. So what's my conclusion? Eventide is a really good game and very well worth getting, because is one of the most Mad Max games I have ever seen. As in capturing that spirit of Mad Max, the recent one, not the 80s one, the recent one, which is incredibly harsh, in which you have absolutely no hope whatsoever of a brighter future, and yet you still want to move on and get through, because this is the only life you're going to have and you're going to make the most of it, because screw everyone else trying to hurt you. I like that premise an awful lot. It needs a little bit more of development, I have to say. The locations are varied and very, very good, but I missed a little bit more detail in how they are run. Yes, it comes with all the characters as to who's running what and what kind of personality they have, but it needs a bit more as to what resources can they produce, how are they getting it. It lacks a little bit of something, and the one thing that is totally miss is maps, especially of the larger places. I would love to see maps, more maps. Do I mind? No, but this is the kind of game that I would love to see develop further and further and further and further, because it has such a huge potential. If you're looking for a Mad Max sort of game with fairly simple rules, with a world that you can develop a little bit, with some weird tribes that you can try to get to grips with and belong to even, this is for you. This really is for you, and I can recommend it. So take a look at it and let me know what you think. But this is definitely the best work that Graham has ever done, and I can foresee an awful lot of great things for it if he continues writing for it. And if you want to write for the game, contact the author, because we don't see many games coming out of Africa, and these come from South Africa, and I think we really should give them the best support that we possibly can. So thank you very much indeed for being there. Please do let me know what you think of the game. And until the next time, I will talk to you very, very soon. Take care.